Welcome to the Licensed to Live show, where professionals, doctors, champions, VIPs, attorneys, and those in public office discover strategies that help you restart and gain what is lost when you find yourself accused. If another has doubted your integrity, questioned your credentials, or caused your actions to come under scrutiny, you are in the right place. On the other hand, if you have never felt the knot in the pit of your stomach when legal papers are served, the heartbreak of disappointing your family when the lock clicks shut on handcuffs, or had to appear before a board of review, then be aware, the longer you serve, the more likely you are to find yourself under the microscope of those who judge. Prepare yourself for this uncomfortable possibility. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jarrett Patton.
Welcome to this episode of Licensed to Live. My name is Dr. Jarrett, and I'm your host for our journey together today and every day you choose to listen to this show. If you or anyone you know has been dissed by the healthcare system, please invite them to join us along this journey. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts. Guess what? I'm now on Pandora, Stitcher, anywhere you want your podcast, and subscribe to Licensed to Live. While you're there, please rate this episode and give me honest feedback so I make sure I provide you with the most up-to-date information about career and life changes. When I say dissed, I mean disengaged. Like, this job isn't really what I thought it would be. There's so much paperwork, so many people telling me what I can't do, and I just don't have enough time for my patients. Could be dissatisfied, or disgruntled, or even disenfranchised, like I was when I had my medical license temporarily suspended. This show is not necessarily for those who are happy and fulfilled in their career and never had a setback in life. But if you're in this category, make sure you tell a friend about this show, because your time is probably coming. Today, we're going to be talking with Dr. Shanicka Scarbrough, a family medicine physician, a medical director, a prolific author. Today, we discuss events in her own life that changed the trajectory of her career. And now a word from our sponsor. If you feel unfulfilled in your career, the Licensed to Live coaching program is exactly what you need to get back on track. Looking at your background, purpose, goals, and objectives, we craft a plan that will serve you for years to come as you accomplish your goals. We look at finances, confidence, credibility, business strategies, and much more to help you create freedom and fulfillment while obtaining your own license to live. Unlike other programs that focus on mindset empowerment or leadership development, the License to Live program is designed specifically for you. Each program is carefully individualized to give you exactly what you need to attain the next level in your career or business. This is not a program to simply get you from one job to the next. The Licensed to Live program is designed to help you free yourself from the handcuffs that tend to hold you back. This month, we are giving away free coaching sessions. Make sure to make your appointment with me at timewithdrjarrett.com. That's time with, spell out the word doctor, J-A, 2 R's, E, 1 T.com. See you soon. Welcome to Licensed to Live, Dr. Shanicka. We are both here in Atlanta for the Momentum in Medicine conference. And that conference has been a just game changer in my own life as I've been here the last few years. But I have followed you over the last several years, and now having the opportunity to interview you live and in person is just awesome. So thank you for coming to the show, Dr. Shanicka.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Well, your career is so full and so rich, but I always like to start off with people so they can hear exactly what drew you into medicine in the first place.
Sure. So I'm actually a family practice physician, and I knew as a kid that I always wanted to help people. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know, what I was going to do to make that happen. But I always knew that I've always had a passion for people. So it wasn't until my high school years, really, a friend of mine was taking an anatomy class, and I'm like, dude, I want to take that class too. But I had already, scheduled my classes and everything. So I didn't get a chance to do that in high school. So I was like, okay, because I thought I was going to go into finance. I wanted to be an accountant.
What?
Yeah, I thought that's what I wanted to do. I was like, I need to go where the money at. What I need to count it. What I need to do.
Get that money.
That's what I thought. So I get to college. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna try this thing out. So I started taking anatomy. Even got a job as a physical therapist aide. So I worked as a physical therapist aide during my college years, and that was super fun. But I was like, this isn't enough. Like I need more. I don't know what this means, but I need more. So I started reading books. If anybody knows me, I am an avid reader. I love to read. So I started reading stuff like Outbreak. Do you remember that book?
Oh, yes.
Yes. About the Ebola virus.
Yes.
Yeah. So I read that. And I was like, I'm going to be a scientist. I am going to change the world, and I am going to be a scientist. And that's what it is. And then I did research at the NIH and was like, okay, this is boring.
Wow.
I did that for 2 years. I did research on smallpox. I did research on fibroids, but it wasn't enough people interaction. I wanted to change lives. And I'm like, this is great on a molecular level, but it wasn't for me.
Yes.
So I had really been running from medicine for a long time. I was too afraid and fearful to even apply to medical school because I heard, so many horror stories and scary stories. And, it's so hard. And am I smart enough? Right. So, a lot of us, go through that phase of, am I even smart enough to apply? Are they going to accept me? Am I doing enough in the community? Like, all of these things that, the admission department looks for. I was terrified by the process, but I kept weeding out things that I didn't want to do and was like, okay, fine. So I applied and I got into the University of Illinois in Chicago.
That's a great story because so many of us, and myself included, thought I wanted to be a scientist.
Yeah.
And then you're in a chemistry lab, and that was my wake-up call. And there just wasn't enough people involvement.
Yeah.
And I said, well, maybe medicine might be the right thing to me. And that's a great thing.
Yeah. Medicine takes a certain subset of people who really have a passion for people. You can't do medicine and not love people. You know what I mean? Unless you're going into radiology or pathology or,
Yes.
so you know right offhand that that's what you want to do. But you can't go into medicine not loving people.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. And what particularly drew you into family medicine?
I went through the same process. I did, except it was backwards this time. So during medical school, you have to go through rotations to kind of decide, what you want to do with your career. So I was literally going through pediatrics, psychiatry, name some of the other ones.
Yeah, surgery.
Listen, I loved them all, okay? And if I could have applied to them all, I would have applied for residency for all of them. So family medicine was kind of that conglomerate of all of those pieces. I can do pediatrics. I can do OB.
Yes.
I can still deliver babies.
Yes.
I can, family medicine had such a wide range of things that you can do with your degree that I was like, okay, this is for me. And it fit my personality.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And it's all about that, folks. When you're going through career changes, you're going through life changes, it's all about making sure you have something that really matches your personality, your style, your values, and so many other things that go on, because otherwise you just get in a space and like, why did I do this in the first place?
What was I thinking?
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
I've thought that many times.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
for sure. You've done so many great things with your career. One of the things that I know is that people often suffer pain. They often suffer drama in their lives, either in their personal lives or professional lives, and it's really shaped the trajectory of their career. So I ask everyone who comes onto my show, have you ever been dissed?
Yeah, so that's such a great question, and I love the premise of your show, the way you formulated that. That's amazing, because there are so many of those that I could have actually chosen. But if I would choose anything, I would definitely say disenfranchised. So I was actually, and disappointed. So as I started practicing medicine, so I came out of residency in 2012, and being the person who loves people, who loves my community, who loves, I wanted to give back to my community. I went and worked for a federally qualified health center in Chicago. And initially the work was great. I'm seeing lots of patients, but then I started looking from the top down and just became completely disappointed in how medicine was being ran, as well as where medicine is going. So I got to a point where I was seeing patients, and I was seeing 50 patients a day.
Whoa. Did you hear that? 50 patients a day?
In an
Really?
8-hour day, taking an hour lunch. So I'm like, am I losing it? Is this right? Am I supposed to be seeing this many patients? So it was almost as if I was on a treadmill. Not even a treadmill. The spinning wheels. The hamster wheel.
Yes.
I felt like I was on a hamster wheel, that I was going absolutely nowhere. I felt as if administration did not care about the physicians. They only cared about the numbers. And I was like, this is not happening. I would go home physically exhausted. I would be tired and depressed and sad. And I'm like, wait a minute. You all know my personality. This is too much. Okay. We cannot have this. And I was one of the only physicians that they were doing it to because I was fast and efficient. So I would look at other doctors' schedule, and they would have 17, 20 patients, and then I'm triple, booked, and I'm seeing 40 to 50 patients a day, and it was just too much. That left me with seeing patients every, 5 minutes, 7 minutes. How do you go through a chart, you know what I mean, to get a full history, to really understand what this patient is going through, and to give them quality care in that time frame. So now I'm even starting to see to this day, physicians who are burned out. Burnout is real for physicians, especially clinical physicians.
Yes.
Burnout is real. We're sitting, all of the company cares about is the number of patients that you see, and not necessarily the quality of care, although they give you quality of care measures that you have to satisfy. So it's a conundrum in the medical world right now. So I got out.
Wow. You just
out.
Like that. After all that abuse.
Listen. When my spirit is grieved, when my spirit is grieved, it motivates me to move. So I gave them at 9 months, I gave them my 3 months notice. So that would have given me a full year to have given them a chance.
Yes.
And I started my own practice. So I started my own practice. I left there in August and opened up my practice doors in October.
Wow. That's incredible.
That's God.
I mean, nobody else can do that except God. You're right.
Nobody else.
That's amazing. You were just ready to walk here. I'm going to be professional. And we've talked about quitting before, and we're going to talk about quitting again. When you leave somewhere, even when you're tired, this is a very important point. You may hate the people that you're working for. You may just completely despise waking up and going into that job every single day, but you still must remain professional. Yeah. So she looked at her contract. She knew what she had to do. And she said, okay, if it's 90 days, well, here we go. This is my notice. And I'm going to give you a 3 months notice so you can plan and do whatever you need to do. Yeah. And then I'm going to be gone.
And I'm out.
But you made your own practice within just a few months.
I did, and wrote a book about it.
Yes. Well, let's talk about your books, because you have written, I can't even count. How many books have you written?
I think 15 or 16 now.
See, you've lost count. I knew I couldn't even keep it because it was too much, too many books. So you are a prolific best-selling author. You've done so many things, and you even wrote a book about opening and starting your own practice. So tell us a little bit more of your career as you took it into being an author. Yeah,
so that was actually my very first book that I wrote. It was a book to other physicians. It was called The Lunchtime Physician Entrepreneur. So in that 3 months time frame, on my lunch period, that's what I was doing. I was studying how to open a practice. What did I need to do? I actually started seeing patients while I was still working there at night. doing home visits. That's how I started my practice. I wanted to empower other physicians to let them know that, listen, you don't have to be on that hamster wheel. You can start your own practice. I started from scratch. I didn't have any loans. I didn't have any investors. I wanted to empower other physicians to take their own medical careers in their own hands. So that was the very first book that I wrote.
My goodness. And how'd you continue on from there? 15, 16 books later?
Every book has been a God-inspired book. The second book that I wrote was called As the Wind Blows. It was an anthology of 7 women, including myself, sharing our stories of pain, trauma, turmoil, and how we overcame those. Again, the drive was to empower women to do better, be better, to know that, whatever situation that you're going through, that you can make it. Like I mentioned earlier, I suffered from depression for a long time and was delivered from that. So, I had to share these stories. Whenever I have a triumph and I know that God is the only one that did it, then I have to share it. I have to share it. And then the 12 books that came right after that. That's an actual series. It's called the Her Daily Journal series. God gave me a vision. He gave me a vision I needed to write journals to teach women how to take one step closer to Christ. So each book was written within a month time frame. I did it live with my audience. Each month I wrote a journal, and each one has a biblical principle that we studied for that month. So that was a 1-year process. I wrote a book a month for 12 months and finished the last book in November of last year.
That is incredible to have that kind of discipline to just continue to write. And people have asked me the same thing, even though I've only written a handful of books compared to you.
Hey, listen, that is an accomplishment. You are doing big things, sir. Okay?
But writing a book isn't as hard as it seems, because a lot of times, coming from the medical profession, we are used to 18 or 20 pound books when we're thinking about books, and we're thinking thousands of pages.
Yeah.
But it's really about getting your message out there,
Absolutely.
getting your story out there, telling something that can help others, because a lot of times people hold on to all of that pain and they continue to carry it, and it holds them back, and it doesn't get them to where they need to be in life.
True.
And that's one of the most difficult things that go on out there.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you taking the time to do those journals, come out every month with a new book. And I know you're inspiring and helping thousands of people across the country now.
I hope so.
And more recently, you have had a transition into a medical directorship.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So as of September of 2018, I became the medical director of blackdoctor.org, which is a multimedia marketing website and company that focuses on the African American community, focuses on the African American experience. They want to increase the health of the African American community. So they hired for the first time. They have been in business for over 13 years.
Wow.
And I am the very first African American woman who's a physician and medical director of blackdoctor.org. So that
high five on that.
That says a lot in itself. So my goal with blackdoctor.org is to make sure that I help bridge the gap, to end these health disparities, to really try and move the needle. And the way that we're trying to do that is by increasing awareness of our physicians of color. Right? Because so many people say, oh, I didn't know that, there were so many Black doctors in my area, or I didn't know that, so we really want to focus our attention on the physicians, making sure that they provide us content that is evidence-based, that they're getting the health information to our consumers spot lickety split, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
when something happens, we want the information, and it empowers the listener and it empowers the viewers to take their health into their own hands, to help them to live healthier lives. So I'm super excited about what Black.org is doing and where the company is going, and how we're really going to really push that needle to help do our part in helping to end health disparities.
Yes. Well, that's certainly an important topic, and maybe I'll bring you back on the show to talk health disparities, because
Sure.
I have several guests lined up that are experts in that, and you being another one of them. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Where can people find out more about you, Dr. Shanicka?
Hey, absolutely. So you can go to my website, www.drshanicka.com. Easy peasy. www.drshanicka.com. On that site, you will find some of my old archived radio show back when I was called the Diva MD way back
Whoa,
when.
the Diva MD.
Yes. So I did a radio show on Urban Broadcast Media where I did a lot of health topics like this. So it was a great time. It was fun. It was exciting. Had a lot of guests. So it was a great time. So a lot of those archive shows are on there. You can find my books. You can find information on my medical mission trips when I go out the country, and you'll get a freebie as well. A shopping cart secrets. Yeah, shopping cart secrets. So how to really shop when you go to the grocery store, so that you can eat, live, and live a better life.
Wow, that's amazing. So I will have all of that in the show notes. I'll have all the links. You guys can check it out, because she's really done a tremendous amount of accomplishments in all phases of her career, really. When you think about writing that many books, and now medical director of blackdoctor.org, and so many other things that she's doing, you got to check her out. So thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. That was fun.
It was absolute pleasure. I'm glad we got to do this live, and I'm so happy that you're here at Momentum in Medicine as well.
Thank you.
Is there anything else, Dr. Shanicka, that you'd like to say to my audience today?
Yeah, absolutely. Just make sure that you empower yourself with knowledge. Education is key, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's finance, whether it's health, whatever it is. We need to make sure that we are educated so that we can be empowered to do whatever it is God has called us to do. So educate yourself. Absolutely.
Amen to that. I can't say any more than that. Thanks, Dr. Shanicka.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jared.
Remember, fire starters, if you or anyone you know has been disengaged, dissatisfied, disgruntled, disenfranchised with healthcare, please invite them to join us along this journey. Simply go to your favorite podcast place and subscribe to Licensed to Live. And while you're there, please rate this episode and give me honest feedback to make sure I provide you with the most up-to-date information about career challenges and life changes. See you next time.
No matter how disheartening the moment of accusation sounds, how deep the pain of immobilization stabs, or how bleak your future looks, no one can take away your license to live. Keep Dr. Jared's expertise handy and unlock your future. Go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or another podcast player and subscribe right now to Licensed to Live. See you next time.